lats, Erector Spinae, lower traps, Infraspinatus, and Teres minor. So we are going to ask Dan to stand straight, to stabilize core, to depress the shoulders, to get the lower traps in there, and we're going to kind of, so he's going to initially kind of be a little bit medially rotated. We're going to extend, well, as he extends back, so then some lateral rotation there. Okay, do the other arm. And then just flex up and then more medial rotation. Try to incorporate and also extend a little bit. So we're trying to incorporate all the muscles in there. I think we did it.
Yeah, pretty much. You didn't like.
Did I not say it?
No, I think you're good. But just.
Well, say more.
No, I was just saying.
Retract.
Yeah. So the last for the it's medial rotator, so the lateral rotation and the shoulder extension for that part of it, and then for the Erector Spinae back extensions. That's why he's kind of leaned back a little bit. If the person had like a protracted kind of like slumped over appearance, the back extension would be a good exercise as well. Lower trap for the it's a retractor, so that's why we dance back like this. And then the Teres minor lateral rotation, and it's kind of contradicting because the lats also do medial rotation, but they also do shoulder extension. So we figured if you're in shoulder extension, I think you try to get into a little bit of lateral as well. You're doing killing two birds with one stone.
So let's just go to group 5. You guys kind of superimpose on this. How'd you guys do?
The hand motion from lower trap, Teres minor, was the same. Except instead of having the patient drift backwards, trigger or trying it that way, we have to sit on a ball.
Okay, so you show us what you got. And I think my guess is, I'm just going to make an assumption, if you guys would have tried to do bilateral, is that right?
Yeah.
I just couldn't find another rubber cord tube.
So a rubber tube, okay. So if they had the the equipment they're telling us, they would do bilateral, which I think is important, is because then it makes it that much easier to actually do the the stabilization. Oh, we gotta look over here at this side. So putting us over here.
This is fun.
Quickly.
I'm getting
So upright posture, retracting shoulder blades, and coming back into the motion, keep your arms straight, depressing the shoulder blades, and then at the end, just kind of that little twist for the external rotation, and then eccentric movement, and then back into end range, or union range, or whatever.
Okay, everyone see that? And just kind of to add to that, when you take a look, well, first of all, what is the group? 6? How'd you guys do?
Totally different.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just we'll let you guys do something totally different. With these guys, okay, one of the things you want to try to watch for, and I'll say this with all the considerations as well, is that when we talk about if you want to try to strengthen a muscle in a short position, that is true, but you don't necessarily want to take it to its absolute shortest position, because that by itself might be a little bit uncomfortable. If you're talking about low back patients, sometimes taking them all the way into full extension might be just as painful as taking them all the way to full flexion. Okay, so trying to get toward that neutral or a little bit toward the short position. A lot of times you see people kind of focus on that as well. All right. You guys want to add anything to that, Rachel, or try to sit in the neutral? Type situation, okay. What did you guys come up with, Meredith? You got more of the as well.
That same place as the green one?
What?
That same place as the green one?
Extension, spinal like this, and she's going to retract and extend for the pec minors, not pec minor, lower traps, and and also for the
Sorry.
for the lats. And then she's going to laterally rotate for the Teres line and Infraspinatus. She just keep going with that.
Okay. So what do you guys think about that? Yay, nay? Louder, Matt?
She's in the abduction, so that defeats the purpose of the lateral rotators. Because it's a main adductor, so it shouldn't be kind of abducted, not abducted with that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that there's going to be a whole lot of abduction that would be brought in there. Let me ask this, what do you think might be harder for someone to do? Which one? If you had to like put these things on a progression, what would you say?
That's hard.
Why would that be? Some said against gravity, that might be okay. Anything else? Yeah, you have to balance, and I think that is probably one of the things that you're going to find with, 20, 30 years ago, they talked about Swiss balls like this. They were really kind of used from the neuro perspective for coordination and movement, okay? But as time kind of went by, that's kind of dropped by the wayside. You don't see it as much neuro-wise as you once did, percentage of how it's being used. Now it's becoming huge in the musculoskeletal, okay? And part of what it is particularly if the person has to balance, whether it's seated or whether it's in this position, this is even more difficult. But the moment you have to try to balance, okay, any little shake one direction or the other, what are you getting all around your entire core?
Contraction.
Kind of co-contraction activity all around, making it nice and steady. So it really does elicit a good core response. And that's one of the things that's nice about the balls themselves. So we'll practice with that as well. But you can make things incredibly difficult out in the periphery. Here, these guys are just doing kind of a bilateral situation. But you'll see a lot of people do some really wild stuff where it might just be one arm, maybe both arms together, but they actually balance on one leg instead of two. It really can tax the system. But again, they're all in gradations. In this situation here, the person's going to have to be a lot further along than they would necessarily have to be over here sitting against the door. You all right with that? You guys want to add anything? Feel free to throw anything in. All right, next up. That was what?